Good morning, and we have Michelle here, and I'm super happy I ran into her here at the AT Nation. Michelle, you are in charge of the channels for the SonicWall.
I am. Dzień dobry to your audience. So excited to be with you today.
She did that to me yesterday, and I was completely surprised by how fluent her Polish is with numbers, and she can read the numbers. She can talk about. She has some words that are really kind and nice because your grandmother was.
There was from Poland. Exactly right. Yes. So I was very happy to meet you and to have some of your chocolate wafer from Poland. It was a lovely remembrance of her.
Thank you so much, IT Nation. How do you like the event so far?
Oh, it's been an incredible event. It's one of the most unique in the channel. This was their 20th anniversary this year, and we've been a sponsor for quite some time. Myself, I think this is my 11th IT Nation event that I've attended personally. So it's been a wonderful experience from the networking, from people not only in the United States and Canada, but from 50 countries around the world. I think that's what Manny Ravello, our new CEO here at IT Nation ConnectWise, mentioned on stage. And of course, Jason McGee did an excellent job for these years, the changing of the guard. So lots of new innovation happening, lots of great partnerships, and lots of good people and conversations about the future of tech.
I went downstairs to the showcase floor to look what's new, what's interesting. Loads of cybersecurity topics.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I started in the channel about 20 years ago at Cisco. I did, yeah. As an engineer back in the day, and we were selling chassis 6509 switches in server rooms for large enterprise companies. Now we live in a very different society. In a post pandemic world, every company today is a technology company, every vertical, every industry, every size, every segment. And the one thing, whether you're large or small, you have the risk of a cyber attack. So we say it's not if, but when something can happen. And so you have to have preparedness. So SonicWall's been around for 33 years globally. We're in 218 countries and territories around the world, most commonly known for our firewalls. But we recently made two acquisitions for Cloud Secure Edge and for managed security services, building a SOC in EMEA recently because we know that we have to have multiple layers of security to keep customers safe.
SMB customers typically didn't believe that they are the target of the attack. I think that's changing.
I think it's probably one of the most prevalent opportunities for cyber criminals, right? Because if you think about the enterprise, they have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of CISO, IT directors, IT CIOs, and they have a lot of technology and investment that they can fuel to fund these things. The SMB thought perhaps that they're not at risk, but 80% of small to medium businesses that get attacked go out of business.
80.
80%. It's a huge cataclysmic number. So I don't like to sell on fear, but the fear is that this is a reality and we have to keep our partners and our customers safe.
And I think artificial intelligence, because every conversation has to be about artificial intelligence, is going to significantly amplify, and enable those kind of bad actors to access and attack SMBs.
Right. Next Gen AI is obviously the hot topic on everyone's tongues this past year. And we look a lot about the benefits it can provide. It can make life easier, less complicated, more intuition, more prediction in the knowledge and data that is being provided to people. However, as all things in life, it can be used for good or evil. And so we're seeing a rise in cyber criminals' creativity. You can buy ransomware as a service on the dark web. You can see the deep fakes that are happening where they're implicating images of level CFOs and CEOs of companies and politicians around the world to pretend that they are those persons and take advantage of people and you know, their belief in humanity. And so it is a very sad and challenging war that we are at odds with each other, but I do believe the good guys will win in this.
Well, the days of the Nigerian king that is proposing you to inherit $5 million if you pay them 500 are gone. I think Gen AI is extremely helping the bad guys to access through phishing.
they have more knowledge now than they ever have before. There's more connectivity, there's more aptitude to understand who you are, what you like, all of those things about you. Those cookies that were enabled have all of your information. When you see ads on the web, obviously they were specifically targeted. I say Alexa and Siri, and all of the devices are always listening. And so even though, there's been limitations to how they can utilize and sell these things, but the information's out there and it's been collected for a long time. And so at this point, we have to be very cautious. 80% of the attacks we see happen in the cloud. You think about every industry now, you have remote workers, hybrid workers, people that are at home with their children, like you and I have, and other people that have elderly and others that are at risk. All people have a sensitivity to the fact that they can take old habits and be very creative. During COVID, your package has been delayed due to XYZ. Who didn't have a supply chain issue? It was a logical connection that people made. Click on the link. And so these phishing scandals and all of these ways that cyber criminals just take the ability to take what's already happening in our world into our specific, even cities now, and states and countries and regions, and just attack those. It's a very easy thing for them to do. So I feel that we have a lot of opportunity. We need to be on guard. We need to have protection. And I also talk about, our managed security services, because truly, I don't expect that any employee is working 24/7, 365 days a week. You all need a break. And most of the attacks that we see happen Sunday at 4 in the morning. If you're not working at that time, you're at risk. So how do we keep you and partner with you to make sure that you have eyes on your customers at all times?
You have my attention. So who's gonna protect all the SMBs? Who's there?
Well, I would say it's the managed service provider partners. I think that is the kind of warriors and duty that I've taken up to be the trusted advisor to a lot of the end customers. At an enterprise customer, you have a different level of thought and decision that goes into the process. But in an SMB customer, they may not know about the technology. They may not know about the speeds and feeds and what one firewall or switch or access point does compared to another. But they know that they have a person that they can trust that will keep them up and running, safe and protected, and give them peace of mind. And that person is integral in the idea that they're going to help guide them on that journey. And so they, in combination with an OEM or vendor like SonicWall, who wants to invest in that partnership and be strategic in how we make them more profitable, make them more empowered, and have the right enablement in terms of education and trainings, certifications, and the ability to really see the threat landscape. For example, we do a threat report specifically geared at small to medium business. There's a lot of threat reports that exist, but SonicWall has long been an SMB focused vendor. And so our threat report is about what these partners and these customers really need to be concerned about.
I don't think any SMB out there should be, without a very specific financial knowledge, should be doing their own accounting and their own finance. I think the same goes for technology. And Michelle is doing the right thing, telling all of us that when we are an SMB, we should be actually outsourcing the technology to the people that know technology well, which is the MSP community.
Yes, I would say it's like having a doctor, right? You have a general practitioner, somebody that's roughly right about many things. You may have a doctor that has a specialty, like they're an ear, nose, and throat doctor, or they're a cardiologist. And then you have the specialists. Those are the people that do this every day for a living 24/7. You have different levels of your needs in the technology landscape, but the MSPs that are focused on security are the ones that are going to not only have the opportunity, but have the ability to actually keep these customers safe.
What are the 2 3 things that SMBs should do before they even talk to the managed service provider? What are the kind of essence of protection that they should do?
Yes, I think it's really just understanding what they have today, right? Asking more questions to understand their capability and knowledge of what the threats are out there, especially, for example, per industry. If you're an MSP that focus on a particular vertical, like say the healthcare segment or the retail segment or manufacturing, there are different nuances that these threat actors are taking in each of these verticals. For example, I was at a retail conference in West Palm Beach about a week ago, and we talked a lot about how they're at risk through the POSs that they're selling to their customers, because this connected data that is accessible, that makes it easier for them to do business, is also giving cyber criminals a way to collect data, scrape information from credit cards. And you look at big brand names that we know, like Home Depot and Target, and huge companies in America that have had this happen to 150 million customers' data, down to the small ones that have been forced to go out of business. And so understanding not only their specific vertical that they're in, but understanding the threats that exist that support and around that space, and how they have to look at the layers of security, whether it's cloud edge protection, endpoint security, network security, basic firewalls, etc., and onto the layers of just 24 by 7, 365 monitoring, because they're at risk not just between the hours of 9 to 5. There's a lot of opportunity for criminals.
I'm gonna switch the gears a little bit because you have also not only the very broad knowledge about the channel, but you also have a global focus. Where do you see the opportunities globally, and how do you see the evolution of the channel globally at the moment?
Yes, it's been an interesting dynamic to watch. I mean, so before Next Gen AI, I think the biggest word that I heard a lot of was M&A. So whether it's in the vendor space and the acquisitions that companies like SonicWall have made in the last year, or it's in the managed service provider and the VAR space, where a lot of partners are being consolidated. They're building it organically in-house. They're partnering with people who can, integrating with them, or they're making acquisitions to grow, whether it's based on geography or product or other, to make sure that they have the competencies and capabilities to fulfill their customer needs. And I think that the biggest thing that we're seeing in this space is the continued conglomeration of those M&A. We had a lot of conversations, I think in the panel we were on, talking with Tom Bravo's Equity about where they're looking to invest in AI portfolios, in that next gen predictive analytics, IoT, machine learning, robotics, processing automation, all of these new and innovative opportunities that exist in our space. But then beyond that, looking at the financials, where maybe a few years ago they were looking at 5 million EBITDA, and now they're looking at $15 million of EBITDA. That's obviously higher in North America, growing in EMEA, and then in Asia as well. But we're seeing kind of this forward-looking perspective. The other thing we're seeing is kind of a reverse. In EMEA and Asia, the rest of the world, we see especially strong sustainability actions, less so in North America, really starting with California. Now with our new presidential election, it'll be interesting to see where some of this turns for the global ecosystem and environment. But I do believe that there's a lot of potential opportunities in that space. The other piece, just being a woman in the space, is seeing more diversity, equity, and inclusion. Or rather the lack of. In the last 10 years, there's not only been a stagnation of women entering careers in technology, but a decline. And so we see a large churn of women leaving careers in tech. During the pandemic, 1 in 4 women left careers in technology, according to McKinsey, and that hasn't really recovered. So I think that we have a huge opportunity to have equity in our organizations. It is what is represented in our society. 50% is women and men. And we need more of that mentorship and the ability to sustain different people and diversity of thought. Not just men and women, but diverse cultures, religions, introverts and extroverts. Having a diversity in the boardroom makes your company much more successful and more profitable.
If there are not enough women in tech, I need to talk to my daughters, of course. If I would like to push them or gently suggest a technology career, what is the advice that you would have for them, Michelle?
This is a great call out, and I think there's a lot of things to keep in mind with this. But firstly, I would say it's a very lucrative career that allows you flexibility. The benefit, I mean, we're here at an amazing event in IT Nation. We have the ability to go to Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida yesterday and ride roller coasters with our partners and customers. We have the benefit of, I consider this space like a family, really. The people that you meet, you see so often, we're walking through the hallways hugging each other. And it's not that we are trying to sell to one another. We're building a rapport of trust and relationships. This industry truly does change the way the world lives lives, works, plays, and learns, and it keeps our customers safe against the bad guys. And I think that's a pretty exciting place to be.
How, if I would like to advise my girls or my friends, how to progress their career, what are the resources, what is the advice, what is the coaching, where do they go for coaching and support if they would like to move further and develop their career in IT?
I think the biggest thing to consider for young women or anybody wanting to get a foot in the door of IT communities is really looking at the opportunities that exist. A lot of times I find people say, I've been looking for diverse people, but I can't find them. And I say, well, how do you go about seeking these candidates? And they say, well, I talk to somebody and then I go through this process. And it's basically a reiteration of the same thing they've done for the last 20 years. And so the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So it's really being laser focused in the areas where people are progressing women in diversity. And I would give an example to CompTIA just brought back their Advancing Women in Technology community. They had their event in North America, including Canada, and then recently in the UK. And Brooke, who's running that community from ScalePad, joined and talked a lot about the opportunities that exist for mentorship, allyship, and also championing these people, right? And just you are the representation of who's on your bench. And if you look across the table and everybody looks and thinks and acts like you're doing it wrong. We have an opportunity to really reach across the aisle, even at events like this. Meet somebody that you've never talked to. Have a connection with somebody not that you came here with, that you work with, or that you're just trying to sell to, but that you want to build and foster a relationship with multiple people of diverse backgrounds that help all boats rise.
So there's a couple of things that I'm hearing from you, which is like there are some kind of communities and groups that you could potentially figure out online. So LinkedIn, Facebook, where should people look?
So many. So Tech World's Half is a group on Facebook fostered for women, especially when you see, I'll call it a manel, but a panel full of men. We have opportunity. There's a lot of women in this industry still that we can have representation, especially in diverse backgrounds and expertise. So you want to make sure that collectively, when you look up there, that you're seeing representation. But also, not only that, thought leadership, speakers, job opportunities, candidates for different roles that they're seeking. So absolutely, women of the channel from CRN, great opportunity there. They have 2 events actually each year in North America, in New York City around in 2 weeks in December, and in California around May timeframe. A fantastic event, 1,200 women from around the world flying out just for this specific audience, not for any other reason, but to get educated, get inspired, and network and grow. So it's an incredible event. Alliance of Channel Women, run by Channel Futures, an incredible community raised by Maika, who is leading that, the first Black Afro-Latino woman that's ever raised that community. So looking at just diversity in all sorts of aspects, but bringing women of all different backgrounds and cultures together to help elevate one another. And there's a lot of different communities out there, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to foster a conversation, but Canalys as well, very prevalent in EMEA and Asia and in North America, has a lot of great community meetups at their event for women and diversity as well.
Look it up. Look up Michelle on LinkedIn. Look up Michelle on anywhere else that's LinkedIn.
Facebook, LinkedIn, you can connect with me anywhere you like, or email me at mragusa, Ragusa, at sonicwall.com.
Perfect. Michelle will guide you how to get connected with other women if you are planning to make a career in IT, in technology. I think it's a great place to be. I've been here for the last, I don't know, 30 years probably, and it has changed. But there's not enough change. We need more diversity, more different points of view, more ideas, more thought leadership for women. So welcome, please join. Oh, not myself. I'm a man.
And I'm so grateful you are. It's wonderful to have men who have 3 daughters like yourself as well to understand the importance of opportunity for all. And regardless of your background, this is an amazing place to be. The technology industry is so need it right now. It's always been needed, but I think now more than ever, cybersecurity is such an incredible place to be. And I feel like we're just really making an impact and difference. So exciting time to be at SonicWall in this industry and working in tech and working with amazing people from around the world like you.
Thank you so much, and let's go explore the IT Nation a little bit more.
Good. Sounds good. Thank you, everyone.